What's up guys, it's Dustin Ratchford, owner of Boar Extinction. In this video I'm going to be taking you over the top few catches that have happened this last year. I am a professional hog trapper. I do it because I really enjoy it. It's a side hustle I can make money at. And not only am I taking care of the hog problem that we have here in Oklahoma, I'm also helping the habitat grow as well. Pigs are extremely, harmful to the environment around. They will ruin quail populations. They will push your deer around. Not only that, they tear up billions of dollars worth of land every year, and then they multiply like rabbits. So in order to maintain the hog population, it's up to guys like me to trap as many as we possibly can. Because if we stop for one moment trapping these pigs, 6 months from now, we lose a year's worth of progress. And so it's highly important that we manage these groups of hogs here. And it's happening all over Texas. Canada's fixing to get a taste of it because they're getting overrun with pigs. But all across the southern states here, hogs are absolutely running the number up. So as we get into this video, I'm going to be showing you what it took to trap a few of these groups that I managed to catch. You're going to see some great stuff here. This is the type of numbers I like putting up. These groups range anywhere from 10 hogs to around 45 hogs. And one really massive boar. Wait till the end to see that one. But before we get into this first clip here, please hit the like and subscribe video. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to bring you all the wild hog content I could possibly give you. Let's get into it. That was an exceptional group there. I think it consisted of 17 or 18 pigs then, and they were all about 100 to 150 pounds, which was a solid group and a nice paycheck at that. So now as we move on to this next group here, this group was located in the heart of the Arbuckle Mountains. And I had got the call saying, hey, I've got the pig problem. They're starting to destroy my hay bales. So I was like, okay, so I'll come down there and check at it. So I would get down there and look, and the pigs had destroyed 2 rows of hay bales the guy had cut back in the spring earlier that year. They were set up right next to the road, and I thought, wow, that's strange. They're just like the last group, they were highly exposing themselves. Look at this hog damage. A farmer had contacted me about a hog problem, but I didn't realize how big of a problem it was. So I put up a camera and put some corn out to see if I could see how many I was dealing with. After I had good intel on their numbers, I decided to put my trap up and start building their trust to the enclosure. Notice the big boar at the bottom of the screen. It took me 2 nights to get him to feel comfortable with entering the enclosure. This is the following evening. The weather is getting cold this evening and it's calm, and it's a perfect evening to trap some pigs. Notice at first they're a little hesitant, but then once one enters, they all enter. And this is the first time they've seen the trap enclosure during daylight hours. At 6:56, I send the gate command to close the gate and watch the train wreck happen. By this point, we're rocking and rolling now, so got another call to go look at a property. Like the pigs were moving around all over the place, and they were just damaging the whole place as they could. So like one night they'd be at one end of the property, the other night they'd be at the other end of the property. It was really open, so I was like, crap, this is going to be hard to kind of pinpoint where these hogs were coming in at. So I found a trail, put corn out, nothing. Crap, what the heck? So I was like, well, it's starting to get warm, and it hadn't rained hardly at all. We were in a big drought at this point. Well, there was this pond right out in the middle of this field where all the trails kind of converge to, and a draw that goes down to a field which I had seen them use before. So I was like, all right, I'll just put it right here and see what happens. You know, if not, I'll just keep looking. So I put corn out, and I already had a few panels on the trailer that it was with me from another trap. So I was like, well, I might as well slap these up too. That way if they show up, they're getting used to the panels. So after about a week, nothing. I was like, God dang, where did all these pigs go? Like, and there's a big group running around this place somewhere. I was like, I know it. The owners have seen it. I've seen it. I was like, where the heck are they at? And I guess they had moved off to another property that we had later found out and destroyed everything again. And I was like, all right, when are these hogs going to show up? Well, lo and behold, my camera sent me a text message one night, and they were in this group of panels just as stacked up on top of each other as they possibly could be, eating all the corn. So I moved the gate out there. I was like, all right, let's see how long it takes them to adjust to the gate, because sometimes when you go in there and you move the gate up and there's a bar right above them, it's like, wait a minute, something's going on here. Well, that night I think I had to watch them for about 45 minutes. Now, I missed some pigs, but I'll tell you why. I had the majority of the hogs inside the trap, and the rest of them were, at this point, I didn't know if they were going to move out again and be gone for another month or whatever. And I was like, crap. So I got to looking at it, and I was like, you know what? There's only a few piglets and 3 dominant boars. There was just 3 boars outside that were just fighting all the stinking time. So I was like, you know what? I got a majority of them here. Maybe I can get the other ones. And if you load out correctly and leave it alone and just try to be gentle with that spot for a little bit, typically you can get them caught again later after about a week or so. And so I managed to close the gate on this group, and it was a dance. I told you it was a good one. So as we move into this group here, it was similar to the other group. They were just moving a lot, but wherever they were going, they were causing a ton of damage. And so all my cameras and traps were out at this point, because this is when we start, like, it was like the floodgates had opened at this point. Like, pigs are at all my spots, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. We're fixing to make some cash. And so I had put corn out, and blindly, normally you can do this, and I'll tell you how you can tell if you've had pigs or just cows. So cows can't get all the little spots, and pigs will clean the ground to the bare dirt. So like if they're deer, there'll still be some grass left there, but if there's pigs, it would be nothing but dirt by the time they get done eating all the corn. And so I put corn out there, left it 2 days. I typically leave it 2 days, and then let them kind of adjust to where the bait side is. And then once that's been accomplished, I go back out there and I see that it's just bare dirt now. So I'm like, yep, pigs. So we put the trap up and waited another like week, and we just had a few coming in, and I was like, what the heck? Well, then now all of a sudden it went from being quiet to mayhem. Pigs started coming in, and I was like, all right. So I left it alone the first night that they arrived to the trap, because there's always hesitant hogs. They're always going to have some with some groups. So I left it alone, and then went back the next day, baited it really heavily, nothing outside the trap, everything inside, and was like, all right, here we go. Well, that night at a place in Sulphur, I had bought the pig brig, and I didn't think much about it. Nothing against them, it's a great idea, but it just doesn't work for a guy like me where I'm having to constantly move traps all the time. And I don't normally find spots where there's just a constant amount of hogs. Like normally they just move in, stay there a while, and then they're gone again. And so I was fixing to go to bed, and it was already like late at this point. Well, then my friend, he texted me, he was like, pigs, and I was like, which one? So I got on there and looked, and sure enough, I had pigs in the pig brig, and I had about 21 head in there. I was like, crap. Well, I gotta go get them. So we drove all the way down there. Well, on the way down there to get those pigs, this group here showed up. I was like, said it's gonna be a long night. By this point, it's 11:30 by the time we get to Sulphur, and I was like, ah. And I was like, we're getting both groups tonight. So I closed the gate on this group and knocked a dent in this area that I have yet to see another hog there in a really long time. And I hope it doesn't stay that way, because it's this trapping business is a double-edged sword. If I trap all the pigs and it's not in an area where there's more to most likely move back in, then I mean, that's it. This is an absolutely solid group. So as we get into this next video, this group's about 3 miles away from my house here. They had been coming into an alfalfa field and doing some major damage on it. Like the farmer, he was pretty ticked off about it. And I'm like, hey, look at me. I can, I'll get rid of them for you. And sure, he let me in there. And this area, I used to dog hunt a long time ago. And so there was always lots of hogs, and there's some big gnarly dudes too. And I was like, all right, great, we'll get in here. There was trails entering this field from everywhere. So what I like to do is I try to find like an imaginary triangle. So if you got a trail over here and a trail over here, you want to find a pinch point. Eventually, those trails are going to kind of meet in the same area. So you want to try to either cut them off or get right at that point. So I've made my imaginary triangle, and I put corn right at this main area between the two trails and baited it really heavily and everything. Put my camera up, and they showed up the very first night. And then I waited one more night because I was busy at the time. And then the next night, they had removed all of the corn. There was none left whatsoever. So I was like, it's time. So I moved the trap out there, and the very first night, I had pigs showing up immediately. But I had a few stragglers. I was like, well, it was already late at that point. I was like, well, I'll just wait and let them eat tonight. That way tomorrow night they will all run in there. And so that's the key to some of this trapping. You have to have patience, and you can't rush it. Otherwise, all you do is educate the rest of the hogs. So the next night at like 8 o'clock or something like that, they filed in there just as you could have dreamed. It was just poof, right on in. No problem, no hesitation whatsoever. And I managed to trap this group relatively quick, and it was a massive one at that. That was also another fantastic group that we had managed to capture. This was early on in the season, and at that point I remember that we were extremely slow, and then like the floodgates had opened. So like we had pigs coming in from everywhere at all of our spots. And so it went from being just dead silent to crazy busy. So now as we move into this next video here, there was only about 10 hogs that had been coming in, but these were good quality hogs. Some of the boars in there had really good teeth on them and everything. The problem with this was the access to this place was pretty difficult to get into and get a trap back there to make it easier for access or whatnot. Then not only that, we had to worry about the rains coming in, because once the rains came in and it was convenient to trap the hogs, this was extremely tough. So I waited about 2 days and the pigs had started coming in and started really comfortably just moving in and out of the trap throughout all hours of the night. So I had waited a little bit, and then when I felt like it got dry enough to get in there, I closed the gate. Well, we got another group of hogs way the hell back in here of nowhere, and it's a slick rascal. We got about, I don't know, 5 inches of rain the other day, so everything is wet, but it hadn't rained in 2 days, so it should be somewhat all right. Grab that 22, just in case. So as we get into this next group here, there were 45 pigs. It doesn't look like it, but this group consisted mostly of sows, and every one of them had a litter of 10 to 12 piglets. And they were all healthy, all in good condition, and it was just, there weren't very many big pigs, but there was a crap ton of little pigs, which eventually will be big pigs. So as I was gonna trap this group with a soccer net, this was right when the pig breed came out. I was like, I'll just buy me a $40 soccer net. So I bought a heavy ply, well, it was a golf ball net, and I was like, all right, this is gonna work, let's try it. I caught a few small pigs from a different group that had moved in the area at the time, and I was like, all right, well, this is gonna work. But then the massive group showed up, and I was like, they had trouble finding the entranceway or something like that, and I was like, well, as big as this group is and as slow as we are at this point, I'm like, I'm not taking any chances. So I swapped the net out for a gate, and it took me 2 or 3 nights to get them all convinced to come in there. I had a few sows that were extremely hesitant and would throw alert grunts out and just ruin the whole thing. So I decided to wait, and finally they all cooperated with me, and I slammed the door. And it's starting to get extremely busy now. Pigs are starting to come out and root everywhere. So as we get into this next group here, this is a spot that I've been to all of my life. I've grown up around this place. I know every inch of it. And there's always been some pigs there, but typically when you would hunt it, you would see some massive boars. Really big teeth, like about 200 pounds, and just mountain and will get the heck out of Dodge. It was just crazy. So I moved a trap in there. I baited it pretty good, and I had pigs coming in, and it's right next to a pond, and it's starting to get warmer outside at this point. So I was like, all right, they're gonna go to water. So like if it's in the middle of the summertime or coming into spring, you have to go to water. They're gonna be there. And so it started showing up relatively quick right off the bat. Well, where I had positioned my gate, for some odd reason, they just had trouble entering from that way, and I was like, crap, all right. So I made a decision to move the gate over 2 panels to a direct line of down the trail, like it's right down the trail. Normally don't have to do that, but because eventually enough of them will circle long enough that they'll find the gate. It's no problem at that point. And so I moved the gate over. For whatever reason, it worked. And it was pretty late, I think, when I trapped these pigs, but watch this video because they were really nice pigs. as we go to the final video, this is the 349 pound hog that I had landed last May. He had showed up when I first set the trap up, but he would not go in it, and you'll see that in the first clip. But after a month of leaving it there, I managed to capture the hogs that he was running with at the time. And after a while, I just stopped paying attention to the camera. One day I got on there and checked the backlog on it, and sure enough, about a month later, he was back in the area, and he was more than willing to go in the trap. So I had planned to stay up one night because he was coming in there really late, him and this boar that he was running around with. So I managed to land it on a Friday night, and sure enough, I got him captured. Check out this monster. Oh my gosh! So, oh shit! So is that one. Holy smokes, people! They do not get this big very often. There he goes. Oh my gosh! Oh yeah! Close the gate! This gate, please! Oh! Oh! Let's go, baby! Yes! Oh my gosh! Dude, biggest hog I have ever laid my eyes on. Big. Hardly ever. Look. Oh, Jesus! Dude, he's an elephant. This is a... Dude. Freaking way to go, man. Alright, let's get out of here.
Close. 349, 350. 350?
As we go to close out this video here, I just want to remind you guys one more time to please hit the like and subscribe button if you've enjoyed what you've seen. If you like wild hog content, you're on the right channel.